Let's talk about Nigeria's perception globally now. And, it's very interesting that for a lot of young people, what they remember President Muhammadu Buhari, the late leader, for is a statement he made at the Commonwealth Business Forum in London 2018, where he said more than 60% of the population is below 30. A lot of them haven't been to school, and they're claiming that Nigeria is an oil-producing country. Therefore, they should sit and do nothing and get housing, healthcare, education free. And that's what gave birth to the paraphrase that Nigerian youths are lazy. And of course, we've seen a lot of reportage of Nigerian youth across the world. Nigerian prince, they say they're responsible for that, internet fraud, cybercrime, and the rest. But how much of this is really true? Well, we're joined on the program this morning by someone who is dismantling those global stereotypes about Nigeria. Uchechukwu Ajiseogu joins us live on the program this morning. He's a researcher, and he's done this fantastic body of work, which is titled Nigeria's Fraud Reality, Dismantling Global Stereotypes Through Data. Good morning, Uchechukwu. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning, Kerry. Thank you very much for having me. It's really a very big privilege. Thank you very much.
It's great to have you, Uchechukwu. In spite of the fact that, the Nigerian nation government is mourning the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari. But this your body of work came through recently, Nigeria's Fraud Reality. And this is very interesting because for a long time, once you introduce yourself as a Nigerian outside there, they make a joke and say, oh, are you the Nigerian prince? And, sometimes you find that joke uncomfortable and you have to say, well, no, that's not the reality. But it looks like that bad reputation precedes us. But you've done this work and you've come out with the shocking truth. That's the very first page of your body of work. And you say, in fact, Nigeria does not rank first in global cybercrime. Nigeria is ranked 6th. So speak to us about this work that you've done and how important is it, and more importantly, your findings.
All right, very much. This is a very, very much important, crucial work because over the years we've been, getting these kind of stereotypes, which has really affected many of us, right? And for us, we are the most populous black nation in the whole world. And this kind of stereotype is something that has really set a very bad precedent, right? And it's not really a good thing because it has really affected a whole lot of lives, a whole lot of careers, and so many in between. So me going down the rabbit hole for over 3 years, trying to get the important data set so I could do this work, it took me a very considerable amount of time and a very considerable amount of resources to actually get the in-depth information, in-depth data, so that I could interpret it into what we actually have right now, because the bias has been so much, and that has led to having unnecessary and very negative stereotypes, which has affected all Nigerians of all ages. So that's just that.
And you say here that the numbers don't lie. In fact, you compared the US. I should just read the list, the top 5. It's not Nigeria, it's Russia, Ukraine, China, United States, Romania, ranked in global cybercrime, and we are 6th. But then you said numbers don't lie, and you compared the US with Nigeria, the real fraud statistics, and that's just about 2 pages after that in your research work. You said the United States, $16 billion is lost cybercrime, while for Nigeria it's $33 million. In fact, you went on to say that majority of those Nigerian prince emails do not actually come from Nigeria. They come from the United States.
True, because when I was analyzing this particular FBI data report, it discovered that there was really a double standard, right? We are in this notion of Nigeria is number 1 when it comes to fraud. Well, that is not really true, because when I looked into that data point, I realized US as itself, as at the time of 2024 alone, they lost $16.6 billion just to cybercrime, right? And this is more than the entire GDP of most of the African countries, right? This is more than that. And majority of these frauds which are actually happening are actually coming from what we call advance fee fraud. This is a fraud that comes from most of American locations, like we have Houston, Texas, Miami, Los Angeles. But the very important thing there is that when you go and you search for Nigerian fraud on, let's say, using the search engines, right, you discover that you will get a whole lot of hits queries. There'll be a lot of reports. There's a lot of, reports showing that Nigerians are at the top of this whole echelon. But when you go search for something about advanced fee fraud, you get little to no much context, no much hits regarding this. And this is something that is existing, but because of the bias in reporting and the bias that it fits the global narrative that Nigeria is that bad child, nobody wants to take a look at this thing. And most people have been asking, where has this data been? The data has been there. FBI has been publishing this for over many years, but nobody has wanted to take a look at it because it doesn't fit that particular perspective or that particular stereotype. So this is the first time that someone like me is going to this and exposing it and bringing it out in the terms of pitching it out as a risk.
And we have you to thank, for this particular report. And I'm pretty much spoiled for choice because there's also that part of, the victims of this, which are Nigerians abroad, which do not get a call back, for job offers because of that perception and, all the others. But I'm pretty much interested in the media part of it. There's an aspect of your report tagged, the media responsibility. I hope I'm getting it correctly. So what do we learn from the international media about how they report cases of cybercrime that has pretty much not enhanced the fact that there are other countries at the top in the global ranking of cybercrime? What can the Nigerian media learn from that?
The thing we can actually learn from this is that we need to the narrative, right? Because this whole issue of Nigerians being number one when it comes to issue about cyber fraud wasn't really a Nigerian media thing. It was a Western media thing, because when I covered much more for that, I discovered that there was a research by the University of California, Los Angeles, where they did a research to understand the ethics behind this media reporting and the reason why Nigeria continues to actually pop when it comes to these cybercrime stories. And it was discovered most of the media houses that actually publish this news, if they don't include Nigeria in the topic or in the title of whatever article it is, they don't get views, they don't get engagement. And it was discovered during this particular research in this school that 340 increase in clicks is what happens when houses use or include Nigeria into the narrative of anything that requires cyber fraud. This even includes whether it's affected, whether it's a Nigerian national doing it or not. So you just realize that because there has to be much to gain in terms of the revenue.
The revenue, right?
The clicks and the views, it now translates to Western media increased bias towards this kind of reporting. And that's why you find Nigeria getting its unnecessary fair share or unnecessary share of being publicly relevant when we are not even in the sub 5 of people who are doing this thing. So it's bias behind this whole thing that has continued to fuel this. And it's a necessary action that the media has to take into cognizance.
So essentially, we've been used as clickbait, and will be used to generate revenue. This is a conversation we're still going to explore, but we wanted to bring your work to light so the world can indeed know that we know better now, and we're not going to be falling for that anymore. But we have to thank you for the brilliant work you've done. This is by no means the end to the conversation, but we've been speaking with Uchechukwu Ajuziogu. Thank you for your time, and of course, we'll be speaking with you in the coming days.